persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law, and you called us gods. For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to oversee. And as you spread from that cradle of civilization, we saw something disturbing. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance, this time in our name. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals.
Classic tale.
Preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. And so she began her inescapable trajectory toward death. Horrified, I acted swiftly. I placed her in suspended animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father, who the Romans called Jupiter, to bring her with us to Elysium. It was and is my hope that once there, we might one day learn to undo what she has done to herself. But he refused. I did everything I could to persuade him, but he would not relent. He would rigidly uphold his final pronouncement. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium, and no exceptions would be made. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager, the terms of which were as follows. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter.
Wow.
Waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you, so that I might take her with me to Elysium and unthaw my goddess of springtime. And here I am, after all this time, still waiting.
He clearly doesn't understand humans who are your kin.
There are also gods who, like me, have been known by many names, but perhaps you knew them by their Roman names. Our leader, Jupiter, as well as Neptune, Saturn, Juno, Minerva, Mars, Venus, Apollo, Diana, Vulcan, Vesta, Ceres, and of course, my beloved Proserpina.
Who built the city?
As the first wave of your kind arrived from Sumer, I had them build a city in their own fashion, so that they might be comfortable and recreate their lives here. I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft leading to baths, to cleanse them of the sins of their former lives, and to prevent escape. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians arrive, and as their civilization declined over the centuries, they were replaced by Egyptians. Of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization, the Egyptians promptly built over what had been built before, and made all the same mistakes. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive, and then the Romans, and they all did the same thing. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors, renamed their gods, and ensured their foundations were forgotten.
You see, what I don't understand is that his wager with Jupiter was, or at least Jupiter's wager with him, was that if one city could prove itself without sin for a year, he could take humankind to Elysium. Now, he's taken a group of us, made us build this city, and basically said to us that if any of you commit a sin, you're dead. Surely by saying that, it makes the wager pointless. Because he's forcing us to live without sin. That's like saying to people, like putting someone in like basically getting like a rat in a maze and showing them they're in a maze and this is the exit before letting them try and find the exit. Like, he may as well have just said, if you can live without sin, you can all get to Elysium, paradise, for all of eternity. Which comes with eternal life, I assume. How did you decide who comes here?
To ensure the wager was fair, it was important that my subjects were chosen at random. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens fashioned from silver, a rare element at the time, across all of Sumer. Whoever died while in possession of one of them would be located by my servant and ferried to this place, with no memory of how they arrived. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually coins, spreading to Egypt like seeds on the wind. Later, when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's Obol, or as coins for the ferryman. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping they would awaken here, though they had no way of knowing which coins were fashioned from the original tokens. In fact, almost all of the tokens are accounted for, only 2 remain. And so after this wave destroys itself, as it is destined to do, your kind will have squandered the last of its potential to ascend beyond this rock, and Persepone's along with it.
How did humans learn about the underworld?
It is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer, and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people, on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to writing, which came to be known as the Epic of Gilgamesh, and his words were twisted and distorted over generations. Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's stories of the underworld, making them wildly intricate and labyrinthine. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore less and less resemblance to this place, in their priests' pursuit of profit. Then, when the Greeks began to arrive, they proved far more cunning. In a series of incidents that will not be repeated, 5 of them escaped. A warrior named Heracles, 2 kings named Sisyphus.
Yeah, there you go.
A poet named Orpheus, and a Trojan named Aeneas. They each told embellished tales of this place, how to get here, and how to escape. And so from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories about this place, though each story contained only a seed of truth.
So what's something else?
Of course.
Are you responsible for the rule?
That is merely the name your people have given to it, but yes, it is my doing.
Hence the eyes. Why turn people into gold?
That is a story dating back to the very first wave. After the Sumerians finished building their city, the self-declared ruler threw a banquet to celebrate. Now this man was unmarried, and many women were vying to become his wife, a prestigious position of power and influence in a new world. Of all the women, 2 were particularly ambitious. Both were beautiful, and both arrived at the banquet wearing eye-catching dresses and painted faces, their hair woven in elaborate fashion. The first woman, recognizing that she would require an advantage to win the ruler's affection, draped herself in jewelry, ornate necklaces, bracelets, and rings fashioned from gold. Seeing this ostentatious display, the second woman grew envious, for she had no such jewelry at her disposal. She prayed aloud to any gods that would listen to cover her in gold, and when her prayer went unanswered, she took matters into her own hands.
She turned herself to
While
gold.
the others indulged at the banquet, the second woman summoned the first for a discussion in a quiet place. She checked that nobody was watching, and pushed her rival from the top of the ziggurat where she broke her neck on the rocks below. But I was watching, and I decided to answer her prayer. I took the golden bow left behind by Diana. I shot that woman in the heart, covering her from head to toe in a layer of molten gold. And I left her to stand there, that she might serve as a grim reminder of what befalls those who sin in my domain. But that was not enough.
No.
For the entire city was tainted by her sin, and the wager could no longer be won. So I had no choice but to wipe the slate clean. I gilded them all to make way for a new wave, and began the wager again. And to this day, each of them, and all who came after, line the halls of this city, inanimate but conscious, suspended in time with only their sight and hearing preserved, so they may bear witness to and lament the folly of your kind.
Makes sense.
As silent golden sentinels.
You're responsible for destroying all these
Give
lives.
your kind a second chance at life, as well as ample warning about my law. And when you disobey, and you always disobey, you force my hand, bringing terrible suffering upon yourselves. And so you ask if I am the one destroying your lives. And I say, no, you destroy yourselves. I am
Yeah.
the means by which you do it.
His morality is a bit questionable. Where do these golden bows come
When
from?
my kin departed, they left behind many relics which I inherited. Consolation prize of sorts. The golden bow originally belonged to one of my kin, who the Romans called Diana. As my collection of golden statues grew, I chose the most ferocious among them, and equipped them each with a duplicate of her bow. Tasked them with hunting down the Forsaken at my behest. They became known simply as Furies.
What do you consider a sin?
I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own.
There you go.
No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios.
Exactly.
This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with do to the doer to make him do. The Greeks refined it with avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. The Roman Stoics added, treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any situation. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold it. Curious, is it not?
Principle is not easy to apply as it sounds. It does not seem like you've been upholding it either. Yeah, middle one.
Enough. You clearly know nothing.
Yeah, emotion. This is exactly what I was saying. How do you know when people sin?
I'm able to commune with all of the statues in the city. Their ears are my ears, and their eyes are my eyes.
Is Proserpina connected to the statues in the same way?
If she was still conscious, I suppose she could, but she's not. Why do you ask?
No reason.
Then what an odd question.
I've seen some terrible things here that you did not consider a sin. How could you let them
Do you
happen?
plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example?
Suicide.
I've seen no such thing, but in any case, taking one's own life is a self-directed act. It is not one that is done to others, however they may be affected by it. Therefore, it cannot be said that one who commits suicide has done anything unto others.
True. That seems like an extremely literal interpretation of. I disagree with that. That's fair enough.
Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked?
I can't see how suicide can be a sin. A scam?
Ah, the tavern keeper, yes. How is that inconsistent with the rule?
She wouldn't want someone else to sell her hemlock if she was buying a means of escape.
I disagree. Having watched that tavern keeper, that is precisely what she would expect from others.
That's a good point.
She would view it as a game.
Yeah.
One she intends to win.
Yeah. No, yeah. You can't know what she would expect. You're just speculating. No, I agree.
Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked?
Debt bondage.
You speak of the moneylender. How is that inconsistent with the rule?
He wouldn't want to be trapped in a 30-year labor contract because of a loan. Although he's going to say exactly the same thing, that he would entirely expect that if he was trapped.
And he would never have signed a contract pledging his labor for 30 years.
Yeah.
All he did was enforce the terms of a contract signed voluntarily by others.
It doesn't matter that it's illegal. Doesn't matter. If he's right, if a contract is voluntarily signed by two people, then where's the sin?
Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked?
Experiments on the golden statues.
The midwife and the palace, yes. How is that inconsistent with the rule?
She wouldn't want to be experimented upon if she was gilded. She was doing it out of love, though, wasn't she? Would she not want the one that she fell in love with, or somebody that she loved, or loved her, to dig her out? Yeah, I like the thought process. It's good.
The rule is do unto others, meaning other people. Those statues are something else now. Bloodless shadows, mere shapes.
Oh, come on.
Themselves. They are forsaken. What happens to them is no concern of mine.
They're still alive, though. So he doesn't give a rat's ass what happens to the statues once they've already committed a sin. So the statues are sinners. I'm gonna say I see. I don't agree with him, but
Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have overlooked?
I think she is committing a sin by peeling those statues. Just because somebody's committed a sin doesn't mean you should be able to commit a sin onto them. The rule still applies in my eyes. Because that way you could argue that, like, although to be fair, if that was true, you could argue killing animals was a sin, which, I mean, to be fair, it does, yeah, it makes sense. It as a sin. Abduction.
Abduction? You mean the magistrate imprisoning his daughter in the cistern, I take it. He did so because she sought to escape. A sin I take particularly seriously. Better that he stops her from escaping, albeit brutishly, than I have to wipe out this entire city to punish her.
No.
Wouldn't you agree?
No. It's still a sin on his behalf.
Supposing you are right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want?
Well, no, of course not. I'm merely pointing out his experiment is stupid.
Now tell me, what other sins do you believe I have
Never mind.
Very well.
Let's talk about something else.
Very well.
That's all the questions. I'm expecting he's gonna sick that Charon on us.
Good. Then now it is time for your reckoning. Only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see into the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here?
From Steam. I'm from the future. Maybe you're forgetting in your old age. I'm from the future.
If that is true, then I sense the intervention of someone powerful.
How did you come to be in this time, mortal? Who brought you here?
He cannot know.
I was hoping you could tell me.
I do not know. My kin departed long ago, and Proserpine has slumbered for 3,000 years.
Shouldn't you know this as the god of the underworld? I guess that means you don't know everything that goes on here.
Tread lightly, mortal. Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. The answer is, why have you come here? What is it you seek?
An end to the loop. I'd like you to put an end to the golden rule. I want to get out of here. I'm here to kill you. Draw the golden bow. Never mind.